Hey dudes and dudettes, it's Simon Hurley and welcome to another video. Now, PeelApart background stamps have been a huge part of the Simon Hurley Create line since we first started, and you all have had such a great response to them. And so in today's video, if you guys haven't seen these, or if you have some of these PeelApart background stamps, I want to share some really awesome techniques that make these super versatile so you can use them in a lot of different ways while you're crafting. But of course, your creativity can run wild. There's so many things you could do with these and really stretch the limits since you have basically a background stamp and a bunch of little stamps inside of it. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so I wanted to give you guys a good look into the PeelApart background stamps and how they work in case that you aren't familiar. So all of my stamps come on these acetate sheets. I like to cut it right down next to the rubber stamp, and then this is how I store it and use my stamps as well. So I always use my stamps facing upwards, I ink them down, and then I press the piece of paper down into the stamp that I've inked. That way they're not being pulled off of this acetate sheet, but if you want to, you definitely can pull it off to transfer it into the MISTI or onto an acrylic block. Now what's cool about these background stamps is on each one you'll see different cut lines. Now when you first get these, they'll be attached by a little pieces of rubber, and all you have to do is peel it out or peel it apart in order to get your stamp to work as a PeelApart background. So this means I can use these little pieces to stamp different designs and put it in different colors to make them more versatile, or all I have to do is puzzle this back into here. And then another tip I like to give is in order to get anything back in and really snug, just bend the rubber a little bit and then you're easily able to piece everything together, make sure that it fits really nicely, and then you're back in business, right? You're back and ready to use this as a full background stamp again. Same goes with all of these. You have little cutouts you can see in lots of these, and I'll be showing them as we go in today's video. Alright, so of course, one of the things you could do with these PeelApart backgrounds is just stamp it as a background itself. I know this seems pretty self-explanatory, but let's say I just wanted to stamp this by itself. All I need to do is go in with my couple different colors and start inking up my stamp. And remember, even though it's one solid stamp, you can still go in with several different colors of ink. So here I went in with Game Over, Prom Queen, and Guppy, and just overlap them just a tiny bit. It's not going to affect your ink pads too much, but if you get a little bit of ink on one another, you can always wipe it off until that color goes back to the original, but it's not going to harm your ink pad in any way. And then I'm going to go in, I'll spray this down because my inks create a cool watercolor. I'll go in with my stark white cardstock, press this all the way down on all edges, and then I'll lift this off and you get a really awesome stamped out background. So if I wanted to do something a little bit more unique using this PeelApart center, I pulled it out and put it onto an acrylic block, and now I'm ready to get stamping in patterns, and this way it makes sure that every line is really crisp and clear with those different colors. So I'm starting off with a little bit of Midnight Snack, and I love that watercolor look, so I'm just gonna go in here on each one and, spray down a little spray of water. And the cool part about this is I'm going to go on an angle here so I can get lots of different colors going as I stamp down my background. I'll just wipe this off, my inks clean off really easily. Next, I'll bring in a little bit of Clear Skies. I'll go in here once again and just add lots of ink down and then spray it down. And the cool part about this is it's super easy to line up. All I need to do is fit those diamonds right in between here and press it down. Last but not least, I'll bring in Psych, which is just a vibrant yellowish green. Again, I'm going to go in and spray it down just because I've been doing that, and fit it in and stamp it down. And you can see the big difference in just these two designs, because for this one I was able to pull it out and get really solid variances of colors to create my different patterns, whereas in this one I just kind of blended those colors together. So you get two really different looks, but having those PeelAparts really help kind of with these geometric designs that you can create in different colors. This is one of my newer PeelApart background stamps. This one we released in the fall release. It's called Nature Hike, and I'm just in love with it. I love those different leaves that are kind of falling. But the cool part about this is I think there's 5 PeelAparts in here with a couple little images. But I want to show you how to turn this into a really nice focal point images using some of the larger leaves. Alright, so for this, I'm going to use a little bit of Later Gator, and then I'll use some fake plant. And the really cool part about this is I can shade this and give it all different colors and stamp it without having to worry about any of masking the whole background stamp off to get just one leaf by itself. So I'll stamp that in the center of my card. And then here I'll go in with a little bit of Guppy and we'll shade it with some traffic cone. I love that in my line of inks now we're finally kind of getting to a point where we have 2 different shades or 3 different shades of every single color. So you have a really easy way of just choosing some awesome colors to use. I'll stamp that right next to there. All right, last but not least, I'll use a little bit of Bee Sting and some Game Over for some shading on the bottom. And again, spray it and then stamp it down. I'm gonna bring in just a little tiny bit of water on my brushes to kind of blend out some of these colors and make it not so stark white on the inside. And my inks kind of bleed and blend with just a little bit of water. So I'm just adding a tiny bit to the centers to make it not so stark white. To finish the edges, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of Gur, which is my brown color, and just really lightly tap along the edges to give it a little bit of a worn look. I don't use browns a lot or do this a lot to the edges of my cards, but I have been loving it recently for fall cards. I think it just adds a really nice finished look with some craft cardstock too. And then right over top of these leaves, I'm gonna go in with this sentiment that says, "You are such a blessing." And I think this just aligns it and really makes it into a nice focal point. Alright, now to do the background of the card, I put all the leaves back in and I want everything to match up really nicely. So using that same leaf background stamp is going to really tie everything together. I'll go in with a little bit of my brown Gur ink and I'm going to ink up this background stamp so we can stamp it down. I'm going to do some second generation stamping to get a later color. So I'll stamp off once first and then I'm going to stamp onto the front of my card. So here's how this card turned out. I just absolutely love it. I love that we were able to pull out the 3 different leaves and get really nice focal points in different colors, and then also put it all back together to stamp this background that's so cohesive because it's all using the same images. Alright, for this next card, I'm going to start out with this sentiment from the Encouraging Words stamp set that says, "Follow your dreams and don't let anyone stop you," and ink this up in some jet black Archival ink, and then we're going to stamp around this using one of our background stamps. So next I'm going to use the Playful Petals background stamp, and I've already peeled out all of the different images, and I'm going to show you how to make a fun floral frame from it. And the cool part about this, again with these flowers, is I'm able to ink these up separately and make sure that no ink is going to get where I don't want it, right? So I don't have to avoid masking off all those flowers in that whole set. So I'm going to go in here with a little bit of Guppy. I'll bring in some Bee Sting into the center to kind of blend that together. And to do this, don't be fooled. I'm just using the corner of my ink pad to get a little bit of shading in there. Just using this tiny little edge. With these leaves, I can wipe off any excess orange that's going into there where I don't want it. And then I'll go in with my other green colors like Overzealous and Later Gator and just touch the edges of those leaves. Then, if you want to, like I always do, you can spray it down once or twice, and then I'm just going to kind of line it up so that it goes a little bit overlapping that sentiment, but kind of following the edge of it, so we can create this really cool kind of border of flowers all the way around. If you're spraying down the inks, your eyes aren't going to be as focused if you blended them as well, or if you got a little green on the flower, you're not going to really notice once you kind of spray it down. 2 sprays, and then again, I'll go in here and stamp that down on the other edge. Then I love that we included this little tiny leaf in here, because what this makes it super easy to do is go in with a couple different colors. Again, I'm using Overzealous and Fake Plant, and then I can go in and do the exact same thing all over this image. Just filling the rest in with little leaves, because that's going to give you a really easy kind of filler image that will complete the frame. Okay, there's one more little flower image in this set, which I really like, and I want to squeeze it in the middle of some of those leaves that we did. So again, I'm going in with some Guppy and Bee Sting, and I'll do that same thing. I'm just gonna kind of find a place where it fits nicely and stamp it down. Alright, so I have a piece of green cardstock and I've put all the images back in to the Playful Petals background stamp. And then I'm gonna use a little bit of Fake Plant, and I wanna do some kind of tone on tone stamping. Then I'll place my cardstock down and give it good pressure all over to make sure that these all stamp. Alright, here is a closer look at this finished card. I love how it turned out, and with these especially, being able to peel flowers apart is really awesome, so you can make the leaves a different color and really get in on all those details without having to worry about masking. So here we used those front and center with that sentiment, and then again used that full background stamp to create a nice tone-on-tone effect. Alright, I hope you guys found this video helpful and enjoyed seeing the different backgrounds and cards that we created using those fun peel apart background stamps. I cannot wait to see what you all do with them. Leave me in the comments down below if you guys have these background stamps and what you've all created. There are so many opportunities and a lot of different videos that I've done already using these. If you enjoyed this, please give it a big thumbs up and be sure to hit that subscribe button down below so you never miss another card making and crafting video like this one from me. Alright guys, I'll see you very, very soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye!